Hello, hello, welcome back to Vibing with Life. I am excited to have you here, and I have a good juicy story for you today. And you know me, this story is going to come with mindset tips and growth opportunities and all that fun stuff. So, a week ago on my Instagram, I mentioned that an unforeseen circumstance had taken place that was extremely stressful and had my mind spinning in circles. This is where I will spill the beans on that unforeseen circumstance, and it'll be done in our new apartment, which is part of the story. So, about 2 weeks ago, just over 2 weeks ago, my partner Zach and I adopted a beautiful 9-month-old pitbull mix named Riley, and he is already the love of our lives. To see the story about how Riley came into our lives, you can head on over to my Instagram at Vibing with Life and check that post out. You'll also get all the updates on everything that's been going on, and that's where I mentioned that we had an unforeseen circumstance that I was going to be sharing on my YouTube channel. So, about 2 weeks ago, we got Riley, and the day he came home was a Friday. Within hours of him being home, I went to the leasing office, our apartment's main office area, because you're required to register your dogs. Totally normal thing to do when you live in an apartment complex. So I went over to be a responsible dog owner and a responsible tenant to register Riley. You'll also get feed if they find out you have a dog and he wasn't registered, so I didn't really want to get any fees. And I said to the guy who was taking the information, he was like, "What's the breed?" And I said, "Pit Lab Mix." And he just wrote down Lab Mix. So I didn't correct him because people can be a little bit weird about pit bulls. And then one of the other women who we had come to know over our couple months of living there was super excited, knew we'd wanted a dog, so she was like, "Do you have any pictures? Can I see him?" And me, not thinking anything of it, was like, "Yeah, of course, like, here are some pictures." Pulled up a picture to show her, and her demeanor changes immediately. And she's like, "Oh, he's a pit bull." And I was like, "Yeah, he's a pit bull mix, pit bull lab mix." And she looks at me kind of hush-hush and is like, "They're on the restricted breed list. Like, they can't be here." And I was like, "Excuse me?" Completely and utterly caught off guard. Now, this is not unheard of. I have seen this before. Places with restricted breeds, places that don't allow certain breeds because they're deemed a liability. I don't agree with this. I think it's a load of something, but I'm not going to get into that. So we were completely unaware that they had any form of breed restrictions at the current apartment that we had. Because we weren't told. I'd spoken to this woman multiple times about getting a dog and wanting a dog, and at no point did she say that there were any form of breed restrictions. It's not on their website, and it's nowhere in the lease. Nowhere in the lease is it stated that they have any form of breed restrictions. So we had no idea. Would that have stopped us from getting Riley? No, it wouldn't have. But we would have been more prepared. So basically, the guy who had taken the information comes out, and he looks at the pictures, and then one of the other women, who must be one of the head honchos, gets involved as well. And essentially they all look at the pictures, and she comes over and she says, he can't be on property. Basically, that was it. She's like, they're like, it's the head. His head looks like a pit bull, and he can't be here. He's restricted, and he cannot be on property, were the exact words that came out of their mouth. Read between the lines, apartment or dog. And when I tell you that I wanted to just lose it right then and there, I am not kidding you. It took every ounce of strength and decency I had in my body to keep myself calm and to not completely lose it. In multiple different ways. I immediately started shaking. And the only thing I could manage to squeak out of my mouth was, well, it looks like we're just going to have to find another place to live. And they all just kind of shrugged their shoulders. So I turned around and I walked out. And I went back to our apartment. I held myself together until I got back into the apartment. And I walk through the door. I look at Zach. And as I'm saying the words, he can't be here, we can't live here anymore, I completely broke down. Total, full-blown mental, emotional breakdown. Lost it. Started sobbing. I was shaking. I was twitching. I didn't know whether... I think I was a mix of just pure anger, frustration, sadness, stress, overwhelm, anxiety, everything. It all came up. It was... I felt like my brain was going to explode. This was within hours of Riley coming home. So what was supposed to be a beautiful day, beautiful first day with our beautiful new dog, turned into a shit show. And so Zach looks at me and he's like, all right, well then we're moving. We have to find a new place to live. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm not choosing this apartment over Riley. It's just not happening. So through my tears and still shaking, I basically cried for the rest of the day. I could not pull myself together. And we immediately sat down in front of my laptop and started looking for new places to live. And it was so stressful. We were not expecting that. We knew we were going to have to break the lease, and they charge you a hefty fine to break the lease at the place we were at. And immediately it just felt like my whole world was collapsing. It felt like everything was crashing and burning. And at first, in the midst of the total breakdown I was having, all I could think about is how is this happening? How could this be happening right now? Like, we had absolutely no idea. We reread the lease word for word, and I promise you, it is not in there. And I just, all I could think that afternoon was, we're fucked. We're completely and utterly fucked. And it really did. It just felt like everything was falling apart. And I couldn't help but think that, we were going to get in trouble, we were going to get extra fines, we were totally screwed, we weren't going to find a place to live fast enough, this, that, and the other thing. Now, before I get into how this played out, I allowed myself to feel all of those emotions. I allowed myself, with no judgment, to have a complete breakdown. Because you need to feel your feelings in order for them to move through you. So I knew that the best thing for me in that moment was to just completely feel everything that I was feeling. To allow it to be there, to allow myself to just sob, to allow myself to get pissed, to allow myself to just feel it all and let it out with no judgment. Because if I didn't do that, if I shoved it down and tried not to feel it, it would have festered and it would have gotten worse, and it always comes back to bite you. So I let myself have that complete breakdown. And I am so glad I did, because getting it out that afternoon, allowing it all to happen, is exactly what I needed to be able to step into the mindset that ended up serving us. So that afternoon, we started looking for places. I called multiple places that, the first question out of my mouth was, do you have breed restrictions? The first 3 places I called all said yes. And so, I'm starting to get stressed. This is Friday afternoon. Most places aren't open over the weekend. So I'm getting more and more stressed. So I ended up Googling places to live, or like apartment complexes in Tucson with no breed restrictions. And I found a website from the county that listed out all the places that we could live that had no breed restrictions and were pitbull friendly. So picked one right off the top of that list, gave them a call, and first questions out of my mouth: do you have availability? Do you have breed restrictions? Can I move in immediately? When can I take a tour? And they were so nice and so open to us, and they were like, no, we have no breed restrictions, and we do have availability. We have apartments becoming available now. There's a place that's move-in ready now. There's a place that's move-in ready next week, and you can come tour as soon as you want. She was like, we have tour openings this afternoon. And I was like, great, I'll be there in a half hour. So I pulled myself together for long enough to take a tour of the place, which is the place that I'm currently recording this YouTube video. So I took a tour and I absolutely loved it. I was actually quite shocked that the first place we toured, the first place I toured, Zach stayed at home with Riley, so we didn't leave him home alone on his first day with us. So I came and I toured it, and I was shocked that the very first place I saw, I loved. It immediately just, I felt the vibe. I was like, okay, I want to put in an application. And she gave me the application. She told me what they needed for it. And I said, great, I'm going to go fill this out with my partner. So I went back to the apartment we were living in with Zach, and we filled out the application. And then both of us drove back to drop off the application because they had to witness our signatures on the application. So we had to go. So we left Riley. Poor thing. He was so mad about it. He chewed my jewelry box. Luckily he didn't get into the earrings, but the outside of the box is covered in Riley teeth marks. Yep. Could have been worse. So we come back, we drop off the application. We tell her we'll have everything else she needs by Monday morning because they were closed over the weekend. So I was like, we'll get everything you need over the weekend and you'll have it by Monday morning. So that night, after we'd submitted the application, we paid the application fee, we paid a holding deposit for the apartment. And we got back that night, hung out with Riley, and I got the last of my breakdown out of my system. And that's when we sat down, chilled, relaxed, and when that mindset shift first started to take place. So there are 2 paths you can take with your mindset when something like this happens. You can either take the path that a lot of people do tend to take because it's the easy path, it's the ego-based path, and it's, I'm screwed. That's it, I'm screwed, everything's falling apart, nothing's gonna work out, this sucks, and just that negative, toxic, this is happening to me, victim mode mindset. That's path number 1. Path number 2 that you can take is faith. Pure faith that it is happening for you that it is going to work out, that it is going to work out for the greater good, that there is some purpose behind what is happening. That the universe or whatever higher power you believe in has a grander plan for you. Two very different paths. And here's the thing, without getting deeply into manifestation, what you believe is exactly what is going to manifest into your reality. So if you take the path with the victim mode mindset of this is happening to me, I'm totally screwed, everything's falling apart, nothing's going to come together right, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to end up screwed. And in unbelievable stress, anxiety, overwhelm, the whole 9 yards. But if you follow the path and you hold complete faith that this is happening for you, that it is working out and that it's happening for your highest good, then that's what's going to happen. The outcome is going to reflect that. It is going to be a better outcome. So, with what happened, we chose to take the path of faith. I literally said to Zach, I was like, I have to have faith here. Because if I don't completely lean on my faith that this is happening for us in some way, shape, or form, I will completely lose it. I will fall apart. I will fall into self-destructive tendencies. It will not be good. I have to have faith. And I'm very grateful that he is open to all of this that I am learning, even to manifestation, in, all of this mindset stuff, the personal development. He's very open to all of it. So he agreed. He's like, and this is going to work out. We are going to be okay. No matter what happens, everything is going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. And so that is the path we decided to make right then and there, that night. We chose to have faith in the universe. We chose to have faith in the situation that everything truly was happening for us. That it was for the greater good. And I chose to believe that everything was falling apart so that something better could fall together. And that's exactly what happened. A week later, we got a call from our new apartment complex saying that we were approved and the apartment was ours. All we had to do was pay everything off that was owed at the complex we were living at. And I literally cried when I got that phone call because it was like a whole wave of relief. I wasn't overly stressed and overwhelmed because I was leaning on that faith. But at the same time, it's in general a stressful situation because we had no idea where we were going to live. We had no idea what was going to happen. We had to find a place, and that is just inherently stressful. But it was not overwhelmingly stressful because I lent on that faith. Because I chose a mindset that was serving me. So we got the apartment, and we started to square everything away. I spoke to the complex that we were living at about paying everything off, and we paid all of that off, got everything squared away, and here is the part that really blows my mind. So this situation, completely unforeseen, unexpected, out of nowhere, shit hits the fan and it gets everywhere. All of a sudden, that day started off with huge smiles and a full heart and bringing home a dog that is a part of our family. We love Riley with all of our hearts. And it ended basically being told we couldn't live there anymore because of the breed of our dog. Now, having that faith and choosing the mindset that worked for us allowed everything to work for us, allowed everything to work itself out for the greater good, and allowed us to manifest an even better apartment. We are now living in a bigger apartment. This place is 200 square feet larger than our old apartment. It honestly feels colossal in comparison to the old place. Both were 1 bedroom, 1 bathrooms, but this place feels huge. And so it's bigger, it's better and nicer. The whole place, it just feels so much homier, it feels so much nicer. It has nicer appliances, it's more up to date. In the old apartment, I honestly think that our oven was from the 1990s, potentially even 1985. That thing was ancient in oven lifespans. We have a beautiful updated oven, a beautiful fridge. All of our appliances are beautiful in comparison. In the old apartment, our countertops, I'm not kidding you when I say this, our countertops were cheap paint. Cheap, ugly, cream colored paint that would be like indented from anything. It was awful and it was ugly. But we let those things slide because we were just so happy to have an apartment in Tucson, to have our own place. And then finding this place, we realized, wow, like we really did make out of this with so much more. Like, I'm looking at real countertops right now. Real countertops. You wouldn't think that that makes a huge difference, but it really does. Beautiful cabinets. So the whole thing is just nicer. It's laid out nicer. It looks nicer. It feels nicer. There are so many more windows, so much more natural light. Speaking of windows, I was a little bit bummed about leaving the old place for the sole reason. The only thing I was bummed out about was that we lost both of our balconies. We had a balcony off the front and the back, and we were losing those. And the back balcony had a view of the sun setting over the mountains. The mountains were a bit far away, and there were some complexes, some shopping centers in front of that, but it was beautiful. We got to watch a sunset over the outline of the mountains. So I was a bit bummed about losing that. We get into this new apartment. Now, we had toured a unit with the exact same layout. It wasn't necessarily a model unit because it was still completely empty, but we hadn't seen the exact unit that we were living in. So we get into this unit, and I'm looking out the window right now it blows my mind. I'm looking out the window at the Catalina Mountains, basically in our backyard. All 3 windows, 2 in the living room, 1 in the bedroom, have a stunning view of the Catalina Mountains. Like, clean off my vision board type of view. Absolutely amazing. Way better than the view we had at the other place. This is our beautiful living room view. We have 2 living room windows and 1 bedroom window that all face this amazing, incredible mountain range. So this is what I was talking about. This is what we get to see out our window. And I could not be more grateful. So after this completely mind-blowing experience of basically getting kicked out of our apartment because of our dog, we ended up with a bigger and better apartment with a better view for a lower rent. We are now paying less in rent every month than we were at the other place, and our apartment is easily 2 times better. So that right there is a lesson in having faith in your mindset, in believing that no matter what is happening, no matter how much it feels and seems like everything is completely falling apart, it's falling apart so that something more beautiful can fall together. But your mindset matters. If you believe that it's happening for you, and that it's happening for the greater good and something better is going to come out of it, that is exactly what is going to happen. But if you believe that it's happening to you and you're screwed and everything sucks, that's what's going to play out. So these situations are always happening for you, but how it plays out, the end result, that is a manifestation of your belief system. That is a manifestation of the level of faith you have in the universe, God, your higher power, whatever it is. Your mindset in situations like this are going to determine the outcome of the situation. But that situation is happening for you. Because of this, I found so much growth from this situation. I strengthened my faith in the universe, my relationship in the universe, twofold. I really did. And I used the whole thing as a growing opportunity, as an opportunity to work on my mindset, as an opportunity to work on my faith with the universe, as an opportunity to really take a look at my belief systems and what about this situation triggered me and what limiting beliefs were coming up and what my ego was saying. I really use the whole thing as a way to grow and as a way to build my relationship with myself as well. Because when things like this happen, it's also an opportunity to build your relationship with self. Because showing up for yourself when it feels like everything is collapsing isn't always the easiest thing to do. It's way easier to just shove everything to the side and ignore it and curl up in your little hole and corner and just cry about it, which is fine. Crying is great. You can do that. But make sure to feel the feelings that are causing you to cry. Show up for yourself, be there for yourself, honor yourself every single step of the way, and build that relationship with yourself during these times. Because it's when everything feels like it's falling apart, it's when you're struggling, that it's the hardest to build the relationship with yourself. But that's when it matters the most, because that's what helps you build an unconditionally loving relationship with yourself. So, all in all, this was a wild life experience, an unbelievable start to 2021, but without a doubt, it all worked out for us. It all worked out for the better. We got a bigger, better, nicer, more beautiful place with a beautiful view for a lower rent. And they welcome Riley with open arms. All right, I hope you got something out of that story. I hope it helps you when you happen to come across an unforeseen event or circumstance that otherwise would be very, very stressful. If you think that you can apply this to a situation in your life, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I would be more than happy to answer them. And head on over to @vibinghigherforlife on Instagram to follow our journey in Tucson, to follow our family with Riley, and to get more tips and tricks on mindset, mental freedom, personal growth, self-love, and to really vibe with your life. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos on helping you to vibe with life. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day, and thank you for tuning in.